Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast, brought to you by Outdoor Vitals. My name is John Kelly, and with me always is Jeremiah Stringer, the king of Kentucky backpacking, and the man whose hair seems to continue growing as the episodes move on and on. Man, there was a day when you were probably the most clean-cut person I'd ever seen in my life. Fast forward today, and you are the Ginger Mountain Man. No doubt about it.
Yeah, some of the students have started coining the term Ginger Jesus. I said, I got to shave this, I guess. Let me say a quick word from our sponsors, Outdoor Vitals. Check them out at outdoorvitals.com. We'll leave a link in the description. But wanted to real quick say they got their Mountain Pursuit line out. Now, they do have one thing that's coming down the pipeline, and it is going to hit during the colder seasons. And that would be their heavier jacket. When I say heavy, I mean not actually as in heavy weight, but heavy as in this thing's going to keep you warm. But
in
all
the coldest
pieces,
temperatures.
In the coldest temperatures, but all these pieces, there's 3 pieces to the Mountain Pursuit. The pants, it's not really a quarter zip. I call it more of a 3/4 zip, but think about it kind of like that, a little pullover, and their jacket. And all 3 of these are designed to keep you warm while moving in the cold temperature. So I ask, like, well, why doesn't it have hand pockets? And they're like, well, you're going to be moving. You're not going to have your hands in the pockets of this quarter zip jacket. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Why doesn't it have this? Why doesn't it? They said everything is engineered for being able to move in the cold temps. So check them out at outdoorvitals.com, and thank you for continuing to support the show.
Absolutely. And Jeremiah, we've got 2 great guests on, and I'm just going to shoot straight with everybody who's listening right now. I was late getting this podcast ready, and these poor guys had to wait on me, and I'm not going to sit around and just talk a bunch of garbage about nothing right now. We're going to go straight to it because these guys deserve all the time we can give them. They just both together accomplished an amazing feat by through hiking the Appalachian Trail. 2 guys that we have known for a long time. One who's been on here before, one who hasn't, and we're glad he's finally on the show. We've got with us Metro on the Move and Kriz Akoni. What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, guys?
Awesome, buddy. It is good to have you guys on, man. And this is kind of fun having 4 people on at the same time. This is kind of wild. You guys doing all right?
Yeah, it's getting like kind of Brady Bunch like. I like it.
Yeah. It's kind of like I should look down at Metro, right? I should look down at Metro and look over at Jeremiah.
200 miles to walk and my feet are still hurting. Metro, how do your feet feel?
I'm hurting, man. My ankle is still killing me. After 2,200 miles, my ankle is killing me.
Let me ask you.
I feel worse now than I did when I got off from Katahdin.
I know it's all the aches and pains are coming out full force right now for sure.
Can I say something real quick? I recognize the guy right below me. It's the guy over here in the bottom corner. He doesn't look like the guy that was in the pictures that finished the Appalachian Trail. That guy was like all bushy face and had long hair. And I mean, who is this guy right down here over here?
To January photos. I was clean shaven when I started, and then it went away because I figured, I'd carry the beard, and I don't know. It wasn't for me. Although I figured I'd do it the whole way. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I shaved it off before the show. Oops. So I was going to get a big red fake one.
That's all right. Metro people rocking it.
Yeah, man. Full force here, man. I'm going to keep going with it, too.
I like it. And honestly, guys, I got to tell you, it was fun getting on Instagram, especially, and just watching your journey along the way and seeing the pictures. Now, you guys didn't start off on the trail together, did you?
No, we started at separate times. Yeah,
that's what I thought. So how did you guys meet up on trail?
Kriz, do you want to start this, or do you want me to start?
Well, I mean, we had known each other from YouTube for years, commenting back and forth on each other's videos. And when it came time to hike, I kind of said, hey, I'm retiring. I'm going to through hike. And Metro was like, hey, I've got an opportunity to do a through hike. You want to join up? And I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. And went down to the trail in January when he started and kind of felt things out for a while. And then we resynchronized fully after the Smokies and then stayed together the whole way.
Right. Yeah, pretty good. So
Wow.
my start date was actually January 1st. So I was actually through hiker #1 this year. And then Chris, when was
Really?
Chris, when was your actual start date this year though?
I started on February 24th, finished on August 15th. It was 166 days it took me.
Man.
Wow. And y'all are both starting wintertime and hitting the Smokies so early. That had to be daunting
So
because
I like that winter stuff.
Yeah.
well, did y'all see any skiers while you were up there?
No,
I
no,
don't think
no
we
snow like
did.
that.
Yeah, somebody was telling me, they closed some of the roads going into the Smokies, like up to Klingman's Dome and stuff in the wintertime. And I know some people backpack it, but I was like, I can't remember who was telling me. Maybe it was Jason or Jonathan. They were telling me that they close those roads and people will hike up with their skis and ski down on some of those summits, take the road.
Whoa.
I was like, that would be cool, even though I'd be terrible at skiing. I'm curious, what adversity do you felt like that you all faced starting so early? Because like Metro, what's the normal average start time and finish time if you're going to hit the seasons ideally?
Right. So the through hiking season kicks off typically around the first weekend of March. They have what they call the AT gateways or the AT kickoff. And in short, that really kicks off the season for most through hikers right around the first week of March. Now, some will start mid-April, some will start into May, but the ideal, I think, for me is to start sooner than later in the winter months because you can get ahead of the bubble. And the bubble is when the majority of the people begin their hike, which I would say is probably around April to May 15th. You're going to see a huge bubble of people drifting on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, and
Okay.
can I ask about the bubble a little bit real quick? Is it one of those things that when you get far enough along, a lot of the people who aren't going to finish have already left the trail? Is it one of those things that does that kind of help? Because I know the bubble had to have caught up at some point, right? Or am I
Well,
wrong
Chris,
about that?
how about you? How about you? How about you talk on this
No,
one?
the bubble did not pass us. The bubble was always about 2.5 to 3 weeks behind where we were. Actually, I just saw a post from one of the hostels up in New Hampshire that said the dirty bubble has arrived, and so it's in New Hampshire right now.
Mhm.
That's funny. Yeah.
That's got to be good though, because I know I've heard it gets crazy when you're in that bubble. Just how many people are at each of the shelters and the mess, and it's just always people around, and it's kind of. I've heard a few people have said they've hiked the trail, and they said they've actually sat back for a couple of weeks and let everybody go through, so that they could actually enjoy hiking it without all of the, I guess, the chaos.
So on that note, if you can imagine, every single shelter has a privy, right? And not everybody's really exercising the best leave no trace principles. So the main reason why you want to avoid the bubble is from a sanitary perspective, more than the party atmosphere. I would say that we were lucky that we didn't get noro. We actually got all the way through Dragon's Tooth, McAfee Knob, Tinker Cliffs, areas where everybody was getting norovirus. And we were able to bypass that by simply making sure we didn't touch a lot of things, and again staying ahead of the bubble itself was very huge in us not catching norovirus. That was a huge benefit of avoiding the bubble.
So you're saying norovirus would have been bad? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. So I didn't realize that it was the hygiene was the biggest factor. I figured, like, if you're staying at shelters, there might not be a place to sleep, and some people are wanting to sleep in the shelters. I know some people don't, so they're like, "Oh, the shelter's overcrowded. That's fine. I'm going to stealth camp, or There's plenty of campsites along the way. I don't have to stay here where all this bubble is." But I didn't realize it's more of the hygiene issue.
Yeah, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
What would you say
Yeah,
the
keep your hands out of your mouth, keep them out of your eyes, out of your nose, and use soap.
Yeah.
Hand sanitizer does not kill the noro. Got to use soap. So soap up, wash often, and don't be touching anything like your face.
Got one life, live it.
Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit.
what what would you say would be the grossest thing then of being in the bubble, or something gross that you saw, or you're like, was it basically just like leave no trace, people pooping on the ground, and that's the main thing you had to worry about? Or
Oh man, how about Metro? You got a couple good ones. Boy,
Yeah. So
we're talking poop talk already. We're only 10 minutes in.
we're a
We
little
changed the
early.
rules. We changed the rules a long time ago. We just talk about it whenever it comes up now.
I'm gonna
Oh
let
man.
I'm gonna let John cover the privy review part, but for me personally, I had a couple surprises going through the White Mountains. There's not a lot of bathrooms, not a lot of covered areas, especially above the tree line. So people were just dropping deuces on the trail itself, like not even trying to cover it up with a rock or anything, just straight out leaving it on the
Like right
trail.
in the
So
middle.
like you would, yeah, watch your step. Like it's like literally like you're walking straight into it. So not once, but twice, just in the whites up at very high elevation. So you can imagine what that's like. But as far as the worst privy, John, what would you say is the worst privy? And then what did we also learn about the privies from a sanitary perspective? We'll talk a little bit about that science afterwards. But what was the worst privy
Oh
in
yeah,
your?
privy. Oh, privy science. Well, I mean, the most nasty one, and there are two that were really bad. One of them was up at that fire tower where I can't
Mm.
remember where
Oh
that
yeah,
was.
Smarts Mountain.
Smart's
Yeah.
fire tower had a what people consider an abandoned privy, where the door is hanging off the hinges, and it hasn't been maintained in years, but it's a very popular spot. That thing had a cone height that exceeded the rim of the bowl, and so you'd have to like do acrobatics to not get touched by the cone pile on that one.
Oh my
There was
god!
another one though. There was another one in New Hampshire, right before Mount Moosilauke. You're going north, and there's this
Yeah.
beautiful shelter with a beautiful architectural privy with all kinds of nice carvings and a roof and fancy door with pictures carved in it and stuff. And this was another one. It doesn't look like it had been ever emptied ever, where the cone height was just below the rim, and it was in the box though, and there was a blowout on one of the lower boards, so it spilled out onto the floor where you put your feet. And
Oh,
this one was actually funny because right before you get there, you kind of do a town walk, and Metro had to go bad, and we're running.
Real
And
bad.
he's like, "I got to use a privy. I got to use a privy." So he squirts in there after I had already
I like
seen
how
it,
you
and I
use the
was
word
like,
squirts. I like how you use the
"Oh,
word squirts
oh
in there.
no!" And yeah, so he
It's all secure in Sector
yeah, you
7.
got to see it.
But the worst part, right? We're gonna talk about the science real quick. And when you go to a
Oh
privy,
yeah,
they'll sometimes have wood chips, like you get from like say Tractor Supply or something like that. And you're supposed to, after you've gone to the privy, you're supposed to grab a little handful of these wood chips. No problem. Throw the
these
wood chips in there.
beautiful pine shavings. They're nice in a
Yeah,
bag. It's wonderful.
clean. And then sometimes there's this bucket where it has all of this like brown like bark and just dirt and stuff. And it also says grab a handful of duft and throw it into the privy afterwards after you get done using it. So the wood chips, no problem. But this duft, I was like, what is that? Well, Kriz was at, I believe, Speck Pond right after the Moosilauke
Yeah.
Arm. And he talked to the caretaker and he got a chance to talk about the science behind the privy. Kriz, what was some of the science that
Well,
you learned about
that was a
the privy?
behind the scenes review of how the privy science works. And these are the ones up in New Hampshire and Lower Maine. And it has like under the privy, below the seat, there's a big stainless bin, and everything goes in there. And to keep it doing its thing, you throw these wood bark in there. And then these particular ones have a drain in the bottom, and the liquids go out into a separate holding tank. And it sits there and ferments. And you fill it up, and you fill it up with these wood chips and stuff and toilet paper. It fills all up. Well, the caretaker has got to pull that thing out, and they sit it off on the side and let it cook off for like 2 weeks. And then he's got to dump it from one to another, turn it upside down, get it all rotated, and let it cook for another week. And then they spread it out on a big screen. and sieve out all the dirt and stuff and things that aren't supposed to be in there, like hand wipes and stuff. They don't dissolve, so all the wipes are in there, and the poor guy's got to pick all that out and throw it away. And eventually, what's left on the top are all these recycled brown wood chips that then go back in the box inside the privy that you stick your hand into.
Oh my
For real.
gosh.
Oh,
Oh,
for real.
Yeah. What
Now,
is that?
now he says they're what, biologically inert. After 3 weeks, they're completely dead. Um, so I'm not touching that stuff ever again. I'm gonna bring my own or something.
oh,
And soap. Wash your hands with soap.
Every time, wash your hands with soap. Every
Yeah.
time.
I
I
didn't
might
real
I might have just thrown up in my mouth just a little. That
Oh
is
yeah.
terrible.
And we kind of suspected it, and then when we got the whole rundown, I was like, ooh, whoa.
Oh
What?
So
man.
you what you're saying is they're saying, okay, throw some of these nice pine chips in there, and then dig in the poop bark, and then throw
Well,
it
they,
in
they
there.
they they warm you up to it. So they start you off with wood chips, like, oh, no problem. Wood chips are easy. They're in this bag, you just grab it and throw it on there.
Yeah,
And
North
then the wood chips
Carolina,
go away,
Virginia,
As you
Pennsylvania.
further get down, yeah, uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
the duff comes in. They're like, just grab the duff. It's almost the same thing. Wood chips, duff. No big deal. Same thing. It's like, no, there's a real big
That is
difference
not the
between
same
the wood
thing.
chips and the duff.
That-
And so, like, when they say carry soap, I mean, that's what you needed to get off your hands. People are like, oh, I just use sanitizer. Soap is what you need every single time. So again, we didn't catch norovirus because we were hip to how this all works.
oh my
Get in, get
gosh.
out, don't touch anything, and wash your hands. Leave no trace
No.
and wash your hands.
No kidding. Well, hey, let me real quick. We got some comments. I want to make sure you guys get to see these. I think this first one you're really gonna like. Senior Hiker 77, monumental achievement, Metro and John. Congrats.
Yeah.
Good
Trail.
Johnny Hamper.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Trail Eagle 92 said had a similar experience near Dragon's Tooth. Stopped at a campsite near a road, and it was so gross. And then I got kind of toasted a little bit here. John's face when talking about mountain poo. Yeah, man.
You know,
If you're
there's
not watching
some
this on video,
napping, too.
folks, if you're watching this on video, like we have an audio version, we have a video version. If you're watching on video, I don't think my mouth closed for. When did we start talking about this? Like, holy! All I'm thinking about right now is poo bark.
Oh,
I
but we're
agree.
gonna take it one step level. We're gonna take it one step higher. Okay.
What's going
So-
on, Hawkers?
So if we're talking about poo bark, let's talk about poo bear, right? Poo bear is a real thing, and it has to do with the privy, and that's going to kind of blend into our next little segment here of the craziest things that happen on the Appalachian Trail, right?
Yeah.
Jeremiah, we're not
So-
even having to ask questions today. Are you realizing this?
know.
These guys
So-
came ready.
We
Yeah.
roll into Liberty Springs campsite, right?
Mhm.
And the caretaker's like, "Hey, dog, this is where you camp. Cool, cool. This is where you eat. There's the privy. By the way, we'll get to the privy in a second. It's got this push pedal system that takes the turds away. We'll get to that in a second. But before we get into all that, guys, what I need you guys to do is make sure you eat in the designated areas and make sure you put your food in the food box and don't have anything in your tent. No smellies, none of that, because there's this bear there's this bear that's been coming around every 7 days, and it's about time for him to pop in. So y'all keep an eye out for that, right? So about 3:30 in the morning, I hear something. I'm like, "Hey, John, did you hear something?" And John, what did you hear?
Oh yeah, this bear. It was like something from some haunted house movie. It's wailing on the chains on the food box for like a half hour, just bang, 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 beating the crud out of this box. And the caretaker scares it away, and it got quiet for about 15 minutes. And then you hear it at the other food box, just beating the crud out of it, bang, 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 and pots and pans crashing all over the place and stuff breaking. And the caretaker gets up again. He kind of freaks out this time and scares the bear away. And then it got nice and quiet, and I'm laying there and I hear on our tent platform, right? And it basically came up onto our tent platform and it squashed Metro's tent with him in it.
We talked about this on our podcast. We
Oh
watched
my
your
God.
video and we talked about this. Metro, we get a firsthand experience. Tell us about this, man.
So yeah, so I thought it was somebody who was drunk, right? Somebody was just like passing through the back ways. I was like, how did they get alcohol up here? It's really hard to get that much liquor. But I was like, whatever. I thought they were drunk, and they jumped up on the platform, like John said, and then all of a sudden my tent falls in on me after I was like, yo, bro, watch it. You're gonna hit my guy lines, and hit the guy lines, and then knocks the tent. I was like, yo, bro, I told you watch the guy lines. And so then that's when Kriz yells, bear, bear, it takes off. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. That was a bear. He's like, yeah. So he's sitting in there and he's like, we're filming, like, oh, you got holes in your tent. I was like, can't believe this, man. A bear came and attacked us while I was in the tent. Well, while I'm in the tent still, like filming, like, oh, I'm on YouTube, oh, I'm gonna film this, oh, the bear comes back. And I'm sticking, trying to get out of the tent, like, oh my God, get me out of here. And then John jumps into the action of being the hero of the day and grabs a rock and was able to get the bear to go away by hitting the bear and taking the bear out. Now, that's the caretaker again. He's like, don't be afraid to yield, to wield the bear off. We're like, with what? Our swords? So John did everything he could. He got the rocks, got the bear to go away. But we're like, what in the hell happened? So the guy comes down, the caretaker is like, oh, did you have any food in your tent? I'm like, nah, man, we didn't have any food in my tent. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you did. So the next time we go to the next campsite, the next shelter, and we're talking to the caretaker there, and he's talking about the bear. And we're like, yeah, so the bear's been coming there on a regular basis. He's like, yeah, we named it. What did he name the bear, John?
Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear.
And how did the bear get his name?
So Pooh Bear ripped the door off the privy and decided to sit its butt in there and eat cheese sticks because somebody had previously eaten and left cheese sticks all over the inside of the privy. Who eats in the privy? That's like, it's bad enough you have to go in there at all. Who's eating cheese sticks in there?
Could you imagine the guy that's like, oh, I love cheese sticks so much, I can't let him see me eating all of them. I gotta go to the privy. Ah! Ah! And it was like, oh, I got too many left over. I gotta leave them here. So he leaves them in the privy, and the bear's like, oh, I like cheese sticks. I might go in the privy. So now he's like the Pooh Bear. But what makes this privy so funny, right?
What in the world is going on right now?
I don't know, but I like it.
What makes this privy so interesting at the same campsite that we got attacked at, right? By the Pooh Bear. They had to make concessions to make the poo not stay in the privy underneath it. So there was a pedal system. So when you went to the bathroom, so the person eating cheese sticks, right, was in there like, oh, cheese sticks, I love them. Oh, and then after they did what they needed to do, you sit there and you pump on these two pedals, like, and there's a levitating system that takes the poo away. So after about 5 different pumps, you look down and there's no more poo there. It actually disappears because they didn't want the bear getting into the poo.
Where does it go?
Away?
Yeah, like
What is that supposed to mean? It just goes away. These are the physics.
the conveyor belt
Where
just
does
goes
it go?
off.
Away.
It goes off the mountain. It just keeps going off the mountain. So it's like you just keep. It's just like you see poo just constantly going away from the campsite and dropping off the side of the mountain.
That's the best answer I think we've gotten to any question ever asked on this.
Yeah. Now,
Real quick,
go ahead, John.
I would go ahead and throw up a few more comments real quick just while we've got everybody in here. But Gone Feral was squiddly. I think you guys know that guy. He said wood chips, yes. Duff, no. Loafer X said ferments, you say?
That's got to smell good.
Yeah. And then Sterling Slingerland. What a name. Come hike in New Zealand. No bears, no snakes, or no cougars, but the weather may kill you. And finally, Suga Canadensis just gave us a nice puke emoji, which I think many of us are experiencing right now. That's funny, man.
No, I think maybe as Metro was asking me about, like, the AT and the long trail coincide for like 100 miles or so, and then it splits off. And I was telling you in that group text, it's a lot more wilderness up that direction once you get off the AT, and it's a lot less walked. But I did see there was like 2 different types of privies when I was up there. One you weren't supposed to pee in. They had a different name for it. The other one you could pee in, poop in, and they had the wood chips. Now I did not realize that when there wasn't wood chips and I was throwing dirt in there that I was reaching in to poop. I had no idea. But the caretakers, they're part. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. The caretakers on that section are part of the Green Mountain Club, and they spend like every night during the busy season at the shelter, and you pay like $5 a night to stay. And they told me, I was like, "What's the worst part of this job?" And they're like, "Stirring the poop, basically." Like one of the types of privies, you had to go out there and like, I don't know if you'd really say stir it, but like toss it around, keep all the juices flowing and all that. So it's yeah, I know, pretty disgusting. But do y'all know what it's called?
Juices flowing.
The privy where you're not supposed to pee in it versus they are supposed to mix. Did you all experience the difference, or did any of the caretakers in any of the places be like, "Hey, don't pee in this one," or a sign on the door or anything?
Yeah, there were a number of them in Maine and parts of New Hampshire where that kind we described that has the recycled stuff and the big stainless steel container. That one has the liquid. You're not supposed to really put the liquid in there because not only does it spoil the mix, but in the case of Spec Pond, to not pollute the pond, it's actually saved up and the caretaker has to haul the liquid out too.
What?
Yep.
Oh my
It goes into a tank and they got to pack it out.
I'm going to forever respect these people that take care of these privies. Like my
100.
respect level for these guys is it was here. I think it just jumped up to about here. Like and it's going higher the more we sit here and talk.
Yeah, imagine that you fall and you're wearing that tank that has the fermenting juices in it that you're supposed to haul out and it busts on you, bro. That would be the worst day ever that I could think of, man. That'd be a rough one. Awful.
There's a great question on here, by the way. There's a great question. I think it's one we should ask. Who made the cone above the seat?
They actually have
that. I mean, that's a great question.
It's more than one.
They have a word for it too. There's a word for it.
A while because it's not just one.
Yeah.
Okay,
you want to hear the word? Oh my God. When I heard the word that they call this when it happens, it about made me want to lose it. It's called crowning. It's when the poop cone has crowned through the seat. That is crowning. So you're supposed to, that's when the only time that when you have a trial that you may have to make an improvision right there, that might be the time. You're going to have to find a stick or something to knock it down. Because otherwise, what are you going to do? You can't, I mean, you're going to use your shoe?
A stick to prop the lid up so it doesn't.
Yeah, so you have to do like an elevated seat.
I would be hiking back into the woods quite a ways of finding me a nice little tree and not telling anybody. I would just
nobody's looking. You can dig a hole anywhere. But the thing is let me explain why. This is why I want to make this is educational from a leave no trace perspective. You should always use the privy if there's one available because there are maintainers. Now, I know that a lot of people out there think, "Oh, I know how to dig a cat hole." But there's two things that can happen with a cat hole if you are not prepared. The first one is if you don't dig a hole deep enough, right? Say you go half the amount, which some people say it's 6 inches. I say it's 8 inches, right? Some people say you need to dig it 4 inches wide. I say dig it as wide as you need it to be. But the point is that not everybody digs it 8 inches deep. So what happens is they do a little good enough and throw some dirt on top, right? That is called a jelly donut. You know why you call it a jelly donut?
Yep.
Because if you are if you get a little slip and you don't see any mud, you know you have stepped inside a jelly donut, and that is not going to be good into your day. The other thing that can happen, especially if you're in like say Tennessee, because they don't have shelters, right? And they don't have privies near the shelter. So if you're digging around a shelter, you're not the only one that's had that idea. And then this phenomenon happens. It's called a goose egg, right? Where you dig into the ground, you're like, oh, perfect spot. And guess what? It is perfect. Someone already thought that and they found it. At Van Deventer's shelter, I kid you not, I was like, oh, that's so gross. I can't believe this happened. So I go 3 feet over. I was like, still a good spot. Dig again. I got a double goose egg, like literally like 50 like as far as you can imagine from the shelter, right next to each other, 3 feet apart. I'm like, ah, double goose egg, are you killing me? And then step in a jelly donut on the way out. I'm like, ah, ah.
Oh my gosh, the lingo that we're getting. We got crowning, we got goose egg, we got jelly donut. Let's
Listen,
hear
can I just say, like, usually when you say you have a crowning achievement, that's a good thing.
yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard crowning as a negative. Like, that is unbelievable. People are you guys are killing it with the comments today. This is fantastic. This is the best description ever with the donut picture
Nice.
right there. Stay away from the privy. It's of royalty. We got, can you number 2 without number 1? And following Walker's World is on here, and he says, "Oh, guys like me can't poop without peeing." So
yeah. Yeah, that is true. Let me swivel here a little bit, guys. I'm very curious. You weren't in the dirty bubble, which I think is an ironic name because that bubble is like the economy for some of these hostels coming in, right? That's their money making. I'm curious, did you all ever run into people, even though you're ahead of the bubble? I'm sure you met some wild ones. Did y'all ever run into any people that they like fit the stereotype for whatever the annoying hiker is that you had to be around, and you're like, God, I gotta stay at this shelter so this guy's ahead of me or this girl's ahead of me, or there's nowhere to go to. We're both staying here tonight, and I gotta deal with this guy until tomorrow, and I'm gonna walk out of here at daylight and hopefully never see him again for the rest of my life for whatever reason. Did y'all run into any people where you're trying to run from them? There may be an energy vampire or just annoying, or had a speaker that was on all the time, or what? Let's let Kriz go first. Kriz, did you did you run into anybody like that?
We had a couple instances of what I'll call smoking man,
Okay.
where they're chain smoking 3 packs of cigarettes before your very eyes, and there's like a low hanging haze inside and around the shelter that you can't escape. And of course, you can hike on, but it might be raining, a very inopportune time to do that. So you just kind of put your tent up and try and get get the smoke out of your tent as it comes up from underneath the vestibule. So you had a couple of those. What else did we run into?
I'll start on this one. So
Yeah.
one day we did 32.5 miles on the trail. We call it the
Oh
Damascus
yeah.
Super Marathon, right? And this is, I'm going to eloquently put it like this. The trail is for everyone. And during all seasons, people find beauty to be on the trail. Sometimes off season, and off season, I would say is anything before, leading up to March. So before March, and I'd say anything after October is pretty much off season on the Appalachian Trail for through hiking anyway. And sometimes you'll run into characters out there that just, well, they just like living out there, just put it that way. And sometimes you'll run into people that might have mismatched gear where you come into to a trailhead and start talking to them and their stories don't make sense. In this particular case, we had spoken to someone that was like, yeah, I'm all worn out. We're like, well, there's a place to camp right over here. He's like, nah, let's go in the opposite direction. It's like I feel like my blood sugar's off. We're like, well, here's some food. They're like, nah, I don't. That attracts bears. Their stories don't line up. And then they start asking questions like, well, where are you staying? What
Where
shelter are
you
you
staying?
gonna be in?
Where you staying?
So
Where you gonna be?
yeah, we're like, well, I was going to the next shelter, and we won't say that out loud, but you know what? I'm actually thinking about, I don't know, doing 32.5 miles a day and hiking into Damascus to make sure that I'm not out here in the woods. So, going sometimes in the woods, especially near trailheads, you will run into interesting characters. So, another leave no trace, I would say, is to respect others, but also, you don't have to tell everyone your agenda while you're out there to avoid questionable characters. So we had to avoid people on that note. So we did extra miles. Another time where I would say we were at a shelter where we saw a hiker just randomly pop up out of nowhere. Day one, he's going north, southbound, looked like a normal guy. Talked to him for a second. Next day, we see him at a shelter 60 miles in the opposite direction, and we don't want to know how I got there, but he's hallucinating, yelling, screaming, beating things, jumping on top of you know, uh, bunk beds while you're in a shelter and just kind of causing a scene. So there are people that you meet and want to avoid, yes. And sometimes they do fall into categories of love the Appalachian Trail, they're always out there, and maybe they have some mental issues to some capacity. So I would say that's more of something that I've run into than say the annoying speaker guy. Those are some situations that actually we wanted to avoid those people 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy, bro.
I would avoid those people too. I think that you made the right call there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like using the typical Appalachian Trail lingo. Every now and then you get a one-upper. They've always hiked a little further, a little farther, a little cooler than you have, no matter what you've done. I went up Everest 27 times. So yeah, I went up 28.
Yeah.
You get that, and then like Seinfeld, the high talker and the low talker, and there's all kinds of crazy characters out there.
I love it.
But they're
Let me
all, in general, good natured, though. They're all fun.
Yeah.
go ahead,
Yeah.
bro.
So yeah, despite all that, I would say that when it comes to the things at the shelter that were the most annoying and things that we were trying to avoid would be this. During through hiking season, there is only so many amenities. So even though we were ahead of the bubble, sometimes we would go into areas where there was just nothing available at all. Shelters are completely packed. There's nowhere to camp, and then you actually have to push on. So that would be probably one of the things that would happen on the weekends for the most part, just because everybody wants to be on trail. But I have learned from a personal perspective that during these months, it's best to avoid the AT with that many through hikers, especially on the weekends or just in general, just so you don't take up the space of the bubble, because there is limited spaces on trail. So I would say that's another thing that we were trying to intentionally do, was to make sure we stayed ahead, knowing if people were out there, we would hike faster or longer miles just to get to a spot where we knew that spaces would be available, mainly because we knew others wouldn't hike to those places.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
really
that
good
is
call. Here's a good question for you guys. Any good rodent stories?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got
John, do you want to start, or do you want?
We had one where in the middle of the night, the rodent jumped into your shoes and stole your what do you call
My
them?
gators. My
Your
gators.
gators, and
really?
ran away with them and sucked them down a hole in the corner of the privy.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. So you found them the
That's
next
good.
day, huh? They were stuffed in the privy.
Yeah. So
No,
they
they didn't go
basically
that
will
far.
raid us in the middle of the night. So you have to hang your bag, and all your stuff needs to be inside your bag hanging up, because anything that's left on the ground, it's fair game. The mice are going to grab it. What happened to Kriz? We're sitting at a shelter just north of Damascus. He's eating his lunch, right? And just casually eating whatever he was eating. And just moments after he steps up, just to step away for a brief second, out of nowhere, what happens? A
A
mouse.
small baby, like fresh baby mouse, falls from the ceiling and splats on the ground next to me.
Just
Oh,
like,
So we had to move that off to the side.
that's
so the
disgusting.
Yeah, so the mice are going to happen regardless. So a tip for anyone that stays in the shelter, this is the best thing I could tell anyone to do. Make sure you pull your pad at least 6 inches away from your head from the top, so you have at least a little running spot, and on the side, at least 6 inches on the side. If you do that, the mice are coming out anyway, but they're going to be less likely to jump on your face in the middle of the night, because that's what they do. They'll run right over your head if you won't give them enough space. So
That's
it's just
interesting.
knowing they're there. It's not how do I avoid them? They're going to be there. It's about how do I make sure they feel comfortable so they don't bother me.
Bro, if I told my coworkers, if they were listening to this right now, and I was like, yeah, a good piece of advice, if you're wanting to avoid the mice that you're going to sleep with, just leave a space for them to crawl around you. They'd be like, you are insane, bro. What are you even talking about? You're going to sleep.
I hope my wife
You think
never
you can
listens
get
to
away
this
from the
episode.
mice? There's no getting away from them. I mean, case in point here, Gray J, my wife, gets the support vehicle home, and it's filled with mice. So I've been sucking mice out of the car for the past week.
Where are
trying to
they
get
hiding
in
in the
these things.
car? Where are they hiding in the
They're
car?
in they're in the headliner. They're inside
No
the pillars.
way! No
Oh,
way!
dude, man, they're in the pollen filter. There's a giant nest in my pollen filter in the car, and cabin air filter. So I had traps all set inside the car, and I think they're all gone right now, but there were many,
I
many
have
mice in the car.
never, I'm 51 years old, and I can tell you, I have never heard of somebody getting an infestation of mice in their car before.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just one. This is many mice.
Yeah, what I'm saying, an
Oh
infestation.
my
That's
gosh.
Yeah.
insane. I've never heard of that. That's wild.
Is this mice that you brought in from the trail and it was an assisted hike, or is this just your car had been sitting while you're on trail, or is this you're just in a
No,
heavily
the
dense?
car was used. It was an assisted hike. Gray J chased us from trailhead to trailhead, and she went on her own sightseeing stuff on the side. So she was hitting towns and hotels and grocery stores and stuff. But usually, 3 or 4 times a week, she would park at a trailhead and go camping. And somewhere along the way, we must have picked them up.
Mm.
Wow, that's crazy. I've never heard of that. That's wild. That is
All right,
wild.
let me ask y'all about this. I've been to one trail days for the Appalachian Trail in my life, and it's been a few years. And even though I wasn't through hiking, it was so fun meeting a bunch of different people, going to the different booths, and seeing like the through hikers getting free repairs or gear replaced or upgrading this or that, because you're kind of halfway. If you've reached the trail days on the AT, generally speaking. So I was curious. It's my understanding you all passed Damascus and then went back to it to attend trail days because you were ahead
Right,
that
correct.
day. I was wanting to know, did it's a tradition for people to like go to thrift shopping and stuff like that. I think a bunch of the guys get dresses or skirts and dress up for that one day and have a giant parade. And I saw the parade, not on purpose. Actually, I wanted to go ahead and start hiking that day, but then we were driving to where we were parking at the trailhead, and the police were like, "No, you can't go." And we was like, "The parade hasn't started." And they're like, "It's about to start." And so the police stopped us and made us wait for the whole parade to go through before they let us leave town. And then we got to start our hike from Damascus on toward Thomas Knob Shelter and all that. So I'm curious, did you all participate in the parade? Did you dress up like ladies? And how much fun was it? Tell us about trail days.
It's so much fun. Yes, we absolutely hiked in the parade, and I think we dressed like ladies every day almost. We had big blow up floaties. We had big pool animals that we hiked with. That we didn't hike with. We marched in the parade with. We were going
Cool.
to use them to float across the Kennebec, but we wussed out at the last minute.
Okay. And
So,
did you all find the booths and everything pretty satiable for your needs, or was that more of a you already had everything you needed? Didn't really. It was more of a visiting thing. Go ahead, Metro.
so on that note, when it comes to a through hike, all of the gear that you're using is probably going to last one through hike. It doesn't necessarily last beyond that because you're putting it through stresses of everyday torture for the most part. So to answer your question, yes, the vendors there, especially like Hyperlight Mountain Gear, especially like Enlightened Equipment, especially like Town Shirt as an example, all of these companies were there, but more importantly, they were able to help me get the gear I needed for the rest of my hike. So yes, I not only found the vendors to be beneficial, but my gear that was like needed to be repaired or I needed to upgrade, I was able to pick up those items at trail days and continue on while shipping my other stuff back home. So I had a great time at trail days, and again, big shout out to the vendors that helped me out. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
That's
Wow.
crazy. Okay, I have a I have a question before we get off of here because we got to get off soon. Because I know Kriz has some important things. Which, by the way, congratulations on helping.
I can run like another 10 minutes. I got time.
Oh, good. Well, I was going to say congratulations on being a part of the support group for Tara Dower and her most recent FKT attempt.
Oh, thank you. That was exceptionally cool. That was what, 3 days, 18 hours, I think, and some minutes. I think she only had about an hour and a half of sleep for the whole 270 miles.
And this was the long trail that she
Long
did this
trail,
time?
yeah.
That's
Yep.
crazy. That's crazy. But I asked Jeremiah to be thinking about this, and I told our listeners to be doing this as well. But I'm curious. You're on trail for 2,200 miles roughly. What did you decide by the end of the trail was your go-to toilet paper to take with you on trail? What was, if you could have the Cadillac of all toilet papers, what would your choice be out on trail?
You know, it's,
They're like, I never even thought about toilet paper before. They're like, we just wipe on whatever.
well, remember that duft we were talking about? Sometimes you just grab a little duft. And no, I like the hotel, the single ply, mainly because I know what I'm getting, I know what I'm using, and pretty much it helps me with the whole process of getting it 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Single ply.
Can you do that
from the-
again? I'm kidding.
1, 2, 3. And I was like, I knew how many wipes it took to get to the end. And then using single ply, I think it was with a double ply, sometimes you get the rips and you don't want any of that. So I like single ply. That would be my preference. As far as the brand, I would say anything that the hotel had for free.
I like it.
There you
What
go.
about you, Chris?
Same thing, really. I thought, Cottonelle double ply. I started off with a roll of that, which disappears after a while, and then it's whatever happens to come out of the dispenser for free, and you learn to be very frugal. You're talking a 4-patch system, three to 4 slices. That's it.
Okay, so
Goes a long way.
now that you've said that, can we do a quiz on the
Yeah.
podcast, or a poll, Jeremiah?
Yeah, let me write it down here.
Let's do a poll, because you guys are the first people I've ever heard say single ply.
Yeah, me
Oh.
too.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say single ply. Almost everybody I talk to says double ply. So I'm curious, if you're listening right now, go on over to our Spotify, and we're gonna have a poll there, and it's simply gonna be the question of, do you prefer single ply or double ply toilet paper? And I want to throw in there as a third option, or do you just use a bidet?
Ooh.
So let's leave those 3 options out there. Let's see what people come up with.
Yeah,
And
and
I got one thing I want to add to that too. If you
Yeah,
could
go
do
ahead.
a poll and say, because there's 2 types of people in this world. There's only 2. Ready? There's folders and there's scrunchers. I want to know how many people are folders and how many people are scrunchers. Anything else is bidet, which we got stories about bidets if you want to talk about that. That is a whole nother episode right there. But bidets are just
I was going to say about the bidet, by the way, at home, the perfect combo is bidet and Cottonelle Ultra Comfort. It's like double ply, but extra fluffy. Now on the trail,
Extra fluffy.
it's extra fluffy. Yeah, it's double
Extra
ply.
fluffy goes bad.
I know that was the thing with the trail is extra fluffy's not great because not only does it take up more room, it also it can leave behind some especially if you don't have the bidet.
Remnants.
Yeah,
Nuggets.
Remnants.
that's bad because that leads to worse things like chafing and not getting clean all the way. And so I would highly suggest, definitely, if you're going to use the padded on trail, the extra fluffy, then use a baby wipe or something to make sure everything is gone, including the rolled up little tiny, as gross as it is, the rolled up little tiny pieces of toilet paper that could be left behind in the woods. So
Yeah,
make sure
that's no
clean.
good. I do have a question though for you, Metro. Since you
Yeah.
brought it up, are you
Yeah.
a scruncher or a folder?
I'm a folder.
Oh,
100%
I am too.
folder.
I'm a folder.
Yeah, folder.
Folder.
Scruncher, it's just too much waste. Folder is like 1, 2, 3.
You know
Yeah,
what you got. You know what you got every time.
Yeah, and after having a baby, I learned how expensive baby wipes are. I
Yeah.
used to only buy them like, I don't know, when you run out with backpacking, right? You're like, oh, I'll need some more wipes to take with me. But with the baby, I now buy them as like a case of 1,000. And bro, changing the poopy diapers, you wipe, you fold it, you wipe again, you fold. And you're like, I can change this diaper in 2 wipes. Oh, this is a 1 wiper. This is going to be a 4-wipe diaper. I had no idea, I never had to wipe somebody else's butt before, having a son.
Let me tell you how much I don't miss that, Jeremiah. Let me tell you how much I don't miss that part of parenting at all. We got a couple comments I think that are good to put in here real quick. Nick Ramble said you need an option for bidet and toilet paper.
Yeah.
No the people that use both. And then Brian Winburn, this kind of goes with what Jeremiah just said. Ever feel like you're wiping a magic marker?
Yeah, that's the worst on trail, bro. You're like, I only have this much toilet paper. We got the magic marker.
You got to cut down your fat content.
I use the wet wipe things, the little capsules.
Yeah.
That you put water on them and they expand.
Yeah.
And you've got to wet wipe every time, and they're really lightweight. I use those, and it's about the best way to get cleaned up.
You're about to get scolded. Here we go.
You got to carry that out. That's not something you can do. You cannot bury it, and you're not supposed to put it in the privy. So you need to carry another bag with you to wherever you're going to your special place, and then you got to put that in there and then carry it with you out. Because as we learned from the privy specialists, that does not break down, and they have to pick it out with their fingers. And then smell it.
Fingers. And then smell it.
And then
John,
smell it. Wait, what is happening right now? What just happened? I don't even know what just happened just now.
Oh my God.
No, that's only some caretakers. Not everyone does that. But
that's only some.
Only some. It's not mandatory at all.
So don't leave them. You cannot leave them behind for anyone else to pick out. Is the whole point. You're not supposed to leave those out in the woods. So yes, I agree that sometimes you need that extra little. And I've used one of those too. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll double down and squirt sanitizer on it. And that's when I know I need a nice little cleanup. But that's definitely going out with me.
The sanitizer, I feel like that would burn. I don't know about that.
It is, but that's when you've already got the remnant thing going on. You're just trying to have a clean, let's scald it up so that way you're good for the rest of the hike and you'll be just fine.
Yeah,
for 30 seconds,
you're just mitigating the situation.
For 30 seconds though, you're like, I just got branded. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, some painful damage control, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Well, John, I think that we might have set a record for the most poop talk in one episode, and we didn't even scratch the surface on these guys' trip.
And here's the thing. Jason's not even on here.
Yeah, that's true. How did it happen?
Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir, if he's on here, it almost always goes this route. But he's not even here today.
Well, the good news is that you can actually have us both back on individually to talk about this again in the near future. So we're happy to join you again. You just got to invite us back.
I love it. Metro.
I think it could happen.
All right. Well, there you go. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it too. John, you got anything else for these guys? We'll get Kriz out of here. I know he's got an important race here. And
one last question for Kriz, and he can answer it as shortly or as quickly as he wants because he does have to get out of here. Kriz, what was the feeling standing on Katahdin posing for that photo?
Oh, just epic. I mean, just epic. It's like this weird feeling of accomplishment and glory filled with thankfulness that it's finally over in some ways. Because by the time you get up there, you're kind of hurting. And you don't want it to end. Like the whole way there, you want to go slower and slower and slower because you want to extend it. You don't want to end. But then when it's over, you're like, whoo, okay, it's done, finally. And then, now we're home and it's kind of like, oh, it's done. That's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're walking up, you get on the tablelands up on Katahdin and you're walking on this big, flat, wide, expansive. It's pretty easy once you get up there and you can see the sign and it's so far away and it's tiny and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're like, oh man, I just did it. Holy cow. Metro, we did it, man. We got all the way to the end.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That was huge.
How emotional was it for you guys?
So seeing the sign was, again, to John's point, you're thinking about it for hundreds of miles beforehand. We were counting down every single 100 miles, since from 999, 899, we were counting down every single week trying to get there. And it's a very big emotional roller coaster once you get there. But that, again, to John's point, the realization of not only have I hiked 2,200 miles, but I also got to hike back down this mountain because there's no easy way to get off the mountain. So you're like, That was, it was
Wow.
like I might die on the way down. You know, it was crazy. But yeah, at this point, it's been weird adjusting, coming back home, and like, you know, getting back in the throes of city life, and just every day when you're used to hiking 13 plus miles every single day. It's been an adjustment. It's been an emotional roller coaster for sure, in terms of just adjusting back to city life.
Well, thank you guys for being willing to share with us today and tell us what's been going on, because this has been awesome. And we do need to get each of you on here separately and at some point and really dig into the hike itself and not just the privies. Um, but it's been awesome. Jeremiah, do you have anything else? Oh, I think
Uh-oh.
Jeremiah is
He froze up.
he froze
He's
up.
blown
Well,
away by our conversation. He's like,
He's
you know,
on
he's
pause.
just,
he's stunned. He is stunned, folks. He doesn't know what to do. Well, then, with that said, for myself and for Mr. Jeremiah Stringer, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you all on the next one. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks so much for having us on.